Flammy friends! So today I'm going to do a quick non-spoiler review for you guys of the new Dungeons & Dragons movie, Honor Among Thieves. While I made fun of the first one earlier this week, there's not too much for me to make fun of here, so let's just get into it. Starting off, I'm not a huge Chris Pine fan. Granted, I haven't seen him in too much outside the Star Trek movies and a few others. He's just someone who I wasn't really that excited for when I heard he was cast for this, and I am pleasantly surprised I was wrong. He brings to life the Harper-turned thief Edgin Darvis in a really neat way.
Protect it with your very life. I will. Hold this.
I actually kind of found myself rooting for him and enjoying his character, so good job to that, Mr. Pine. Michelle Rodriguez is also someone who is hit or miss for me, but I also really enjoyed liking her character, who is Holga Kilgore, a barbarian who, quite frankly, does a really good job of bringing the class to life. While she gets to show her softer side at times, her bluntness and banter with Edgin are what really make her character shine. Another member of the group is a sorcerer who's bad at magic named Simon and played by Justice Smith. While I found his character a little annoying in the beginning, he quickly grew on me. And regardless of what he says in the film, magic can in fact solve everything. Maybe not if you're a sorcerer, but definitely a wizard. We study hard so we can do the cool shit, and you just wave your hand and make it happen, and it's not fair, it's not, but nope, I'm not going to get into that. Just know that if you're actually good at magic, it solves everything. It really does. Next party member is a druid, who is honestly my favorite character in the show, and probably the reason my next character is going to be a druid. She's a tiefling who is honestly the first tiefling I've ever seen that doesn't have purple, blue, red, or even pink skin, and is honestly the weirdest thing in the film for me. Seeing a human skin tone on her is just... I know it's in the books, I know it's more official than the other colors, but I have never met a player who abided by that. Either way, her name is Doric and is played by Sophia Lillis, who I absolutely adore after this movie. The final member of the party, sort of, is a human paladin known as Zank, played by Regé-Jean Page. He saw firsthand the tragedy that the Red Wizards can cause, as he was partly affected by one of their spells, which turned an entire area into undead servants. Zank is what I would expect of a DMPC, basically perfect in every way and able to solo a group of undead assassins without much issue. But thankfully, we get to see him do some badass scenes without him really overshadowing the rest of the group, so he was a welcome addition in those parts. The villains for this adventure are Hugh Grant, named Forge, who is honestly perfect at playing the backstabbing rogue archetype that you often hear about over at D&D horror stories, as he only cares about himself and what he gets out of any little venture. Somehow managing to go from rogue to Lord of Neverwinter in just 2 years, which totally isn't suspicious at all. The final villain is Red Wizard of Thay, Sophina, played by Daisy Head. While nowhere near as charming and, for lack of a better word, slimy as Hugh Grant's Forge, she brings the appropriate power and danger to the movie. Though sadly, I will say, neither of them offer even a little fraction of entertainment value that Jeremy Irons did in the original Dungeons & Dragons, but I'll be honest, I don't know anyone who could. I mean, that man was just a treasure in that film. Now that being said, I really enjoyed the film. A lot of the D&D games I have played have been homebrewed worlds, so I'm not fully familiar with the official D&D lore, so I do not know if they do injustice to that. But I did recognize a few familiar locations and names throughout it, and I won't lie, it did make me smile when I caught on to references like the original animated D&D kids making an appearance in the film. One thing I do want to praise, though, is their use of practical effects. While sometimes bordering a little too close to some of the more funny-looking Jim Henson outfits or Muppets, I'm really glad that they went with practical effects for the like of Dragonborn, Aarakocra, and Tabaxi. They felt real, as if they were actually there because they were. They were things you could actually interact with, which is always nice and something that CGI just lacks nowadays. Unfortunately, the flip side to that is that it made CGI stand out a little bit more. In the initial trailer, the CGI for the dragon looked a bit comical, but it wasn't too terrible in the film. Definitely better than some of the CGI I saw in Ant-Man and the Wasp recently. The only thing I will say, at least for me personally, was the halfling effects felt really weird. I don't know if it was just done with CGI or if they used forced perspectives, but something about it just felt off whenever they were on screen, and I really don't know how to put it. I didn't feel that way with the Hobbits and Lord of the Rings films, so I know it can be done well with shorter characters, but here it was just something that really stuck out to me whenever they were on screen. The only other critique I can think of is some of the scenes were hard to see. I don't know if it was my theater or the movie itself, but it felt like a few of the fight scenes got more blurry than I'm accustomed to in fight scenes, and it had me taking off my glasses and trying to clean them throughout it, as it just seemed like certain parts were out of focus for no real reason. I loved the cities and the world they showed us. It felt like a world I would adventure through playing D&D. It felt right to me. The jokes landed more than I thought they would as well. I was worried the scene with the Speak with Dead that was revealed in the trailer was all we were going to get and that they ruined what would be a funny moment. But thankfully they didn't. There's actually more to it, though I won't spoil it for you guys because I do want you to go out and actually see this movie because it's pretty good. The magic effects were great, and my inner wizard was naming off the spells as they were cast. Seeing Wild Shape in action was also really good, though at times the CGI would go from really good with the owlbear to sometimes less so with the deer, and I don't know where the disconnect was there. To me, the owlbear looked quite amazing in quite a few scenes, but then we get a shot of her as a deer, and it's almost like Bambi territory there. The story isn't the most deep or compelling, and I'd be lying if anything ever really surprised me in the movie, save for one or two scenes. But those scenes were never really plot specific so much as sudden action or jokes. Still, for the story being basic, the scenes change quite nicely, and the pace feels fairly quick. I was quite surprised when we got to the end of the movie, and it did not feel like it was a terribly long movie at all. The final issue I'll say with this is that I don't really feel like I know any of the characters outside of Edgin and Holga to a little extent. The others were just sort of get swept up into it, and I'm not certain if they are going to do another movie. I hope they do. But if they do, I wouldn't mind it focused on Simon and Doric to flesh out them more, or if not that, just start with brand new characters and just kind of keep the adventure going somewhere else. All that being said, I enjoyed the movie and I recommend it if you're a fan of Dungeons and Dragons, or if you're just looking for a fun magical adventure, then you should definitely go see it. That's all I've got for you for now, Flandy friends. If you've seen the movie, what do you think? More importantly, if you play D&D, what is your favorite class and how did you like the classes they were portrayed on screen? As always, if you want to stay up to date on the latest news and reviews, then click that subscribe button. Really helps my small channel to grow. Until next time, Flandy friends, bye!